Out of the teams here, the team we're maybe the most nervous about is C9. They're very good players, and they won the last LAN.
That sentiment that we just heard from Wally is, I think, matched by a lot of the teams. You know, Cloud9 coming into this one, obviously they have the previous LAN results, but they also have the possibility to break out some stuff that you don't really expect, that you can't really practice against. And, you know, not knowing what you're going up against can sometimes be the scariest thing. Jelly, when we do get into the Grand Arena, what do you expect to see from the blind pick?
I mean, last time that Cloud9 fought, I believe it was Method Black yesterday, right? They fought the Rogue Mage. I mean, I'm assuming Diabolus is going to pick Rogue Mage into them. I don't know if they're going to pick the MOD again. Maybe they'll change up the specialization of Wealthy Man, or maybe even play a Rogue Mage mirror.
Okay, that is something that could potentially happen here. And if you were going to rank all the Rogue Mages right now, where would you put this squad? Where would you put Diabolus?
Honestly, Diabolus, like, I think they've been very impressive recently. You know, kind of a lot of people kind of counted them out at first on what's going on, but clearly they've been showing on the stage with their gameplay that they're here to stay and they're very competitive. So honestly, I'd put them up there, honestly, right behind Method Black right now at this point is what it feels like. I
would agree with you 100%. I brought this up a little bit earlier. I've talked to Healingstat about it quite a bit. I think when we look at this team, when we look at Alec, his play style, and this entire team, how they come together, I feel like this is a team that consistently grows throughout the year, and every time right before BlizzCon, they look better than they've looked the rest of the year.
Yeah, when speaking to Method Black, I mean, earlier in the year, we heard that Diabolus was kind of excluded from the Rogue Mage Druid War Games, and talking to Chaz a little bit about that, he said the reason why they maybe don't play the most War Games against them is because they're a team that stands the most to learn. I mean, Alec will go back, he'll watch the VODs, he'll study every moment of every global and try to just come up with a better strategy, and that's the thing about their team is they are a phenomenal Rogue Mage Druid. They don't necessarily have the flashiest plays, but they're consistent, they have the right strategies, and they always perform.
I literally just heard from production as well. We got a full team in the back, and I do want to say thank all of you guys for everything that you've been doing throughout this entire show, this entire year. We couldn't do any of this without you guys. There are a lot of faces that you guys don't see at home. I love you guys very much, and I think one of the big things that we just heard from them is, yeah, Alex said this during our media day. He said teams don't want to give us any games because they don't want us to learn. And it was actually you, one time we were watching the matches together, and you're like, how are they learning on the fly like this? How are they actually in this game learning so quickly? And they'll adapt in series. And I want to jump down to the floor to Aya right now to see if she's heard anything like that from Alec recently.
Hey, you guys, I didn't speak to Alec, but I was catching up with Waz backstage to hear his thoughts on this match, and he says that he definitely thinks that Diabolus is going to win. They're the favorite to win. They've got that Rogue Mage. I also spoke with Nixie, and he said, you know, if they play that Warlock, he definitely thinks it's going to be a damp game, but they're still feeling prepared. I also spoke with Wealthy Man on the side of Cloud9, and he says, you know, they're feeling a little bit apprehensive, but if they play well, he thinks they're ready to go. And also, he's like, yeah, we're going to dampen them. So strap in. Let's go. Back to you guys.
Definitely got to get those the
I've got my snorkel.
On.
Yeah, I'm ready to not see the sunlight. We're going to be so damp.
But the thing is you look at Wealthy Man last night, and he had to have been feeling pretty bad, right? Like, that was a tough night. That was a tough series. And I honestly, Pika, I feel like you're one of the biggest Wealthy Man advocates in the entire world. You really think that this guy is not only one of the top players, maybe even the best mage, at least in NA.
Yeah, I mean, today, Cloud9 in their matchup there, they absolutely killed it right there. I mean, I feel like coming off of a loss like that, especially to a team that's like Method Black, it's like, man, this is supposed to be the best team in the tournament, and we got 3-0'd by them. You couldn't even take a game off of them, so it's like, honestly, taking that night to think about it, coming back the next day, feeling still confident in yourself and your ability to do well, and then to have a 3-0 performance like that is incredible.
What an uphill battle, though, for Cloud9. The things that they're going to be running into right now is the most refined form of their weakness in 2 series, potentially. Wildcard Gaming and Method Black going to be, or sorry, we are going to see Diabolus and Method Black be those big hurdles for Cloud9. Will they be able to get past the first one, or is Diabolus going to be able to ensure themselves a spot at BlizzCon?
Yeah, and I mean, let's see what happens. Yesterday, Cloud9, their Mage Lock Druid did not look good into Rogue Mage Druid. It was a really difficult matchup for them. Today, I guess they're going to try it again. I mean, Wealthy Man, he experimented a little bit with the Fire Mage, opting to not run it in the blind pick. He's going to be locking in the Frost Mage. And the problem with this matchup for me is it just seems like Chanimal on that Warlock is such a liability later on in the game to that Assassination Rogue. And Nixie, I mean, Diabolus as a whole, they're not afraid to go really late and really abuse the fact that Chanimal is going to be such a good target.
Yeah, Nixie choosing to play the Relentless Night Elf here. I'm not actually sure about that because what Cloud9 is looking for to try to win this game is you're going to look at Cubsy. He's going to be sitting max range, consistently trying to go for those drinks, and he's actually playing the Pharaoh Affinity. So every time he's going to try to get that re-stealth, leap onto Nixie, get the pounce done, potentially into a Mortal Coil from the Warlock, and maybe a DR Bash off of that. That is usually the kill window that Cloud9 is trying to look for. Currently right now, Diabolus just looking to set up pressure on a Chanimal. A lot of pressure coming out right here. Nice pounce done from Cubsy there, pushing in for the damage. Full kidney shot on a channel right now. Bash on the Cubsy, potentially getting CC'd. Nice CS by Wealthy Man onto that Hibernate there and keeping the pressure rolling.
Ooh, that was nicely done by Alec. He managed to snipe a Polymorph onto Cubsy. And Chanimal, he's getting a little bit low, but the Infernals drop out. And the Mortal Coil, Chanimal using some of his offensive cooldowns. A little bit defensive there, and that's sometimes what you want to do as a Destruction Warlock. Instead of just throwing out your cooldowns to try to get a kill, you use them to sort of force your opponents back. Right now, a big attempt over on Asgrath. And this is one of the things I wanted to see from Cloud9. And one of the things they did such a good job of at the Spring Finals was making those consistent swaps onto the Restoration Druid. You do a Bash stun into a Mortal Coil into an Infernal stun, and that can be really scary if Wealthy Man has damage available, and it can really catch the other team surprised in that situation. And I think for Cloud9, that's going to be a main sort of win condition for them in this match.
Yeah, I think it's very important to not let Asgrath just do whatever he wants. Anytime he pushes in, Cloud9 needs to be looking for any sort of potential opportunity to land those Chaos Bolts, get a full stun, make him scared, force him back, because Asgrath, if things can get out of control, he can get a lot of Cyclones off and really change the pace of the game. Right now, Chanimal, if we look at where Chanimal is standing, he's always going to opt. Oh, actually, Smoke Bomb from Nixie, did double coil from Chanimal. Cubsy already going for the early drinks here, making sure to secure the mana lead. Good Iron Bark on this kidney shot out of that Smoke Bomb. Bash onto Cubsy. Asgrath looking for those Cyclones. Wealthy Man blinking back, trying to CS it. Full sheep onto Cubsy, forces the trinket. Chanimal locked out right now, cannot press wall. DR Clone onto Cubsy right now. Chanimal using that Spell Reflect there, trying to do anything he can to get these spheres out. Vendetta has been committed from Nixie. Beautiful low Cyclone from Asgrath right now. Sheep onto Wealthy Man. This is a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that we saw Method Black do a really good job of, is they actually shut down the drinks from Cubsy. But Cubsy in this game, he was able to sit down and drink for two full, and that's going to put his team in a prime position. However, it did cost him a little bit of cooldowns. Cubsy, of course, having to use his trinket to keep Chanimal alive, and that might end up costing them. We'll see. I mean, you can see Nixie right now has got the blind available, and if he can get the blind into the sap with a Kleptomania on Chanimal, that's going to be a moment where Chanimal basically, he can't mess around. He's going to have to use that unending resolve, and if he doesn't, it could be the end of game one.
Yeah, that was a bit of a scary push by Diabolus there, getting a lot of cooldowns from Cubsy. That's what that Rogue Mage composition can do. It's a lot of damage, it's a lot of CC, and it can all happen very, very quickly if you're not paying attention. We look at Chanimal right now, always choosing to stand in the very middle of the map. This makes it so that Wealthy Man can attack anyone in his line of sight, and also it gives Chanimal the most opportunity to try to get these big Chaos Bolts off and do as much damage as possible. Because if Chanimal tries to push in, it puts himself in a bad position, but also Cubsy as well. Boom, Nixie taking a lot of damage here, choosing to use that evasion, getting the blind on Cubsy with no trinket, full kidney shot on Chanimal. I expect to see the follow-up CC. We need to see a sheep or a sap, something right now, opt out this blind. If not, it's going to be a wasted opportunity. Full sheep followed up there by Alec. Great job by him. Chanimal locked out right now. Wealthy Man looking to get some polymorphs out here really, very, very soon. Full CS on Alec. Great peels. Full sheep on Alec as well. Nice resap from Nixie there. Chanimal corroded. One more CC. Full bash. Followed by Asgrath. Looking to get that Cyclone coming out. Chanimal still very, very low. Choosing to hold that shield wall. Knows he cannot waste it right now.
That is such greed by Chanimal, but it pays off. I mean, Cubsy, Chanimal, Wealthy Man, they know exactly what they're doing. They managed to defuse that situation where a lot of teams would just fall. I mean, the amount of crowd control Diabolus had available, the fact that they couldn't take down Chanimal, I mean, it speaks volumes to Cloud9 and their ability to play defensive. Bash now over on Nixie. Do they have any damage to really punish? Nixie used his Vanish offensively there to get the sap off of the blind, so that is a defensive cooldown no longer available, and if they can force out that Cloak of Shadows, then Nixie all of a sudden is a really good target for Cloud9, and it could be something that they look to exploit. But a big swap over on Asgrath. You can see Wealthy Man trying to solo him down with a Frozen Orb, and that really taxes Diabolus' mana, and Cloud9, this is looking a lot better. I feel like they must have studied up from their games against Method Black.
Yeah, these guys are looking really, really solid right now. Diabolus really struggling to try to get any offensive pressure right here. Cloud9 doing great on mana. Well, Cubsy's also really, really trying to use that Thorns ability on cooldown because that is one of the biggest damage dealers to Nixie as well. For those that don't know, hitting into Thorns, every time you auto-attack into Thorns, it's about a 25,000 damage to your health bar, and like that adds up, especially in dampening, and it lasts like 12 seconds or something like that. So it's just it's like another extra defensive cooldown that is hidden in the form of an offensive cooldown right now. And Cubsy right now getting another full drink as his team is completely topped off. No worries at all. Should come out here with a full mana bar. And Asgrath right now, this is where things are starting to get scary. This is when Cloud9 tries to begin to put the pressure on when the mana bars are going down.
The only difference I see from Diabolus and Method Black is Method Black shut down Cubsy's drinks, which was a huge part of the reason why they were able to win, and I feel like if Diabolus can't do that, Channel might be able to survive, but he's forced into a situation right now where he does need to use that unending resolve. The pressure from Nixie and Alec is getting larger, and you can see at 4% dampening already, Cloud9 is getting taxed. Cubsy has his trinket, he has Iron Bark, and he should be able to keep Channel up. But that's a big win there for Diabolus. Getting that unending resolve, it's a 3-minute timer, and now Chanimal moving forward is going to be so vulnerable to the next Icy Veins and Vendetta that's coming up in a short time for Diabolus.
Yeah, bit of a scary situation for Cloud9 here. Actually, Cubsy leaving him for a battle on Nixie, trying to turn the pressure around here. Ironbark use from Cubsy. What you want to see here normally is you'll look at Chanimal. You might see like, wow, why is this guy not using that unending resolve? It's because that is the most important defensive cooldown on the entire team. That is your absolute last resort button. And I feel like Diabolus is actually to force one out very early from Chanimal. And there could be a setup within the next few minutes here that could be lethal.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like to be the case. I mean, Nixie, he's got the blind, he's got the vanish to set him up with a sap if he needs it. I think Diabolus, they just need to get, if they can get an Iron Bark when it rotates back up and then pull the trigger with all their offensive, that's when they're really going to develop a big lead, and they might be able to just close out the game. Cloud9, they need to try to find an opening. Right now, Nixie, with no Cloak of Shadows, he could be in a little bit of trouble. He has the evasion and the vanish. If he has to trade it out defensively, it's going to be big. They can force Nixie to use that vanish. All of a sudden, the blind sap threat is no longer available. Nixie getting lower and lower. Right now, Asgrath using a lot of mana to keep him up, and there's actually a mana lead for Cloud9. Maybe Wealthy Man was right, and they will be the ones to dampen Diabolus in this matchup. Nixie still just getting teed off on. You can see Wealthy Man just spamming damage, Frostbolt after Frostbolt, but finally some big heals connecting. Asgrath manages to keep him nice and healthy in the match. Now it's going to be up to Diabolus to start getting some damage rolling on Chanimal, because right now it seems like Cloud9, they're completely stable, they're completely healthy, and that Thorns you were talking about doing work on Nixie.
Yeah, I'm really liking this game from Cloud9 so far. I think now it's very, very important that Cloud9 does everything they can to stop Asgrath from drinking. That is the only way that this game can be reset, because for those that don't know, without mana and dampening starts to ramp up versus a team like Cloud9, your entire team will start rotting down. A bit earlier as well, Alec decided to trade out an Ice Block there to try to keep some pressure going, so maybe potentially we could see a kill on Alec. He only has one block now, but Nixie just getting pounced up as well, just lots of damage. I think now we're going to see Diabolus really have to try to be a little more careful, because it's very hard for Nixie to just run out into the open and sit on the Destro Warlock when there's no Cloak of Shadows available. That is the most important defensive cooldown. And Nixie, once again, picking that Night Elf, having no trinket available for any sort of stun or coil CC, I think is a very dangerous situation. Ironbark used there from Asgrath. Nixie still just sitting on half HP, full fear onto Asgrath from Chanimal. Cubsy pushing in, trying to get aggressive here, looking for the bash onto Nixie, potentially, does not get it. Cheap shot onto Cubsy, potentially a Sheep coming out on Alec. Ring of Frost, does not connect. Great stops by the team there. DR fear on.
Whoa! Whoa! That was a huge, I don't know what that was. I think it was a Chaos Bolt, but Nixie had the Cloak of Shadows available. That was a big one-shot from Cloud9. And this is a massive lead for them. I mean, they lost this matchup against Method Black, but they obviously have been prepared, practiced, and they played that a lot better.
And I want to ask, how huge is getting this first win? Are we potentially in a situation here where we can see actually switching up compositions be something important in this matchup, or do we think we're pretty much going to see what we saw in the blind pick throughout this series?
I don't think so. I think that's just like with the Rogue Mage Druid. I mean, Method Black just won as that composition yesterday, and on top of that, it's not like they played it perfectly. I know Benruki was mentioning something along the lines of Asgrath or Diabolus was not stopping Cubsy's drinks. One thing Raikou was actually doing yesterday, instead of chasing across the map and putting himself in a bad situation where he's crowd controlled or taking too much damage, he would save Klepto for when Cubsy went for the drinks. That way Cubsy has to come back when he attempts to get the drink because his teammates are dying.
Yeah, just create that pressure instead of actually trying to stick onto the target and hit him in the face, right, to stop the drink. Definitely something that is a good adaptation and a very high-level play. But Cloud9 starting to maybe figure out some ways to beat these Rogue Mage compositions, which they're going to need to do if they want to win yet another LAN. Do you think that this is the composition that they can use to do it throughout not only this series but the whole tournament?
I think Cloud9 is if there's any team that's possible to do it, it's going to be them. It seems like they're able to maybe adapt strategy just in certain ways. Maybe it's like, okay, I want to try to be a little more aggressive here, or we got to try to drink earlier, like they said, like they were doing earlier, so they have more mana going into the dampening part of the game. But honestly, last game, I'm not sure if what happened on the team of Diabolus there. I feel like that was kind of a miscommunication. I feel like that was kind of a preemptive kill. I didn't even realize he was going to die there. I don't know if that was from the Shatter combo coming in from Wealthy Man, or if it was potentially a Battle Master's trinket disappearing. As we've seen, a lot of people have been cheese killed by their own, defensive trinket, just not realizing that, oh wow, I'm about to lose 130,000 Sora health in a matter of seconds.
I feel like Diabolus has had a very up and down tournament. Like, I feel like every time that we have looked at them, Fenriky, they've either just been completely out of this world phenomenal, or they're underperforming just a little bit from what we expect from a top-notch team like this.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of hit or miss. Like we kind of talked about, I mean, Method Black, they basically stomped Cloud9 in this exact matchup. I don't think Diabolus played it nearly as well as they did. They need to focus up a little bit more on stopping those drinks, because that was the main win condition. They were able to keep Cubsy, Chanimal, Wealthy Man on the back foot, forcing them to go for those drinks throughout the entire match, and that just really limits their offensive capability. Whereas when you're letting Cubsy drink consistently in the match, all of a sudden, Chanimal, Wealthy Man, they have a lot more freedom to just get as much damage as possible. They know their healer is going to be completely fine to keep them up, and that's when we see these big one-shots coming in.
Yeah, talking about just how big that one-shot was, I actually started laughing because I just saw the actual number. Toxic in the back showed it to me. 90,000 Chaos Bolt crit coming on through. So 90,000 damage in the blink of an eye, going to be an absolutely huge crit.
I don't even know if it was the Chaos Bolt that killed him. It looked like a flurry combo. I think Wealthy Man is playing a really interesting build. I could be wrong, but I think he's playing the Lonely Winter, so going without the Water Elemental. I believe I saw him playing it yesterday. He might have been playing that game, which makes his Frost Bolts hit really hard in a flurry combo. He can do massive damage. And when he can get those off, when he gets those flurry procs, that's when we can see people spiking from 30% health to 0.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 points of huge damage that can actually come in. It's a very scary thing to see. Actually seeing Nixie come in on the Warrior. What do we think of this decision here, Jelly?
I mean, it was a huge mistake in my opinion. I mean, a warrior into a wizard cleave, especially with a frost mage, I think they could have just polished it up a little bit, fixed a couple mistakes and won the series, but I feel like they're just overthinking this.
This is insane. I mean, I'll take it away from Jelly Beans, but this is this is a bad pick. I mean, what? I mean, peekaboo. What does a rogue offer in this matchup compared to an arms warrior?
A rogue is going to be so much more durable than an arms warrior. The only difference is that maybe potentially the arms warrior has slightly more consistent pressure, but I feel like that's not why the team of Diabolus lost last game. I think it was just they could have rotated their defensive cooldowns better, but I think Nixie being on a human is already a better start. I really didn't like the Night Elf pick last game, not having that trinket for the bash, the pounce stun, and just being able to trinket and get that feint off really reduces the damage that Chanimal's going to do to you. So already looking like a little bit of a rough start here. Nixie taking a lot of damage here. Chanimal already getting off many Chaos Bolts. Lots of fears going out onto Alec here. Asgrath trading out that Ironbrook. Good job by him on that cooldown. Actually, Alec choosing to use the Veins pretty early here, but really not able to get much done with it.
Yeah, and it looks like Chanimal going to be fine. I feel like the biggest thing is you're just missing lockdown. Stun on Nixie, big Chaos Bolt lands. Chanimal looking to get aggressive. Nixie with the Spell Reflect. That's one nice thing about the arms where you have Spell Reflect. But that being said, you don't have Cloak with Shadows. You don't have Vanish. I mean, your defensive cooldowns are just way worse on an arms warrior, and he was the main target in the last game. I'm surprised to see them lock in the warrior. It doesn't really make much sense to me. You can see Nixie just getting tunneled down in this match. He's got no self-healing, and he just falls. That's about as how I expected the matchup to go, and I feel like this is just a huge blunder on the side of Diabolus.
Omega Low Y-E-R. Warrior. Jelly, why do you think they went for this?
Stage pressure. I mean, you're on the stage, you're thinking, oh, Method Black and multi-class and, beat teams, let's give it a shot too. But I mean, I'm pretty sure even a warrior like Blizzo would struggle against a composition like this, especially Cloud9 playing it. No offense to Nixie, not quite as good as Blizzo. Not quite as experienced either. I mean, died within almost a minute of that match.
I want to see the last few moments of this game. I mean, Nixie, he's looking healthy at this point. Was there a counterspell? Or like, what exactly happened to set this up?
Every button, it just didn't do anything for him.
Just raw pressure. Look, it's a warrior.
Look at this. Asgarath, he's not even in crowd control. He throws in a Swiftman, but it's just so much damage incoming. I think a Maledict might have been rolling on him, but that was literally no crowd control at all on Asgarath. And that just shows, I mean, if he was on a rogue, he would have just pressed Cloak of Shadows or Crimson Vial, and he would have been completely fine. But Warrior's just not the same sort of tankiness as an Assassination Rogue in that matchup, and I can't help but feel like they might be throwing this series away.
That was a throw or a very bad science experiment. I think like that's not something that you need to test on the main stage. You know, you even look on the other side, right? Like Cloud9 tries something really bad last night, and a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, absolute choke, what a terrible game, when you actually see Wealthy Man on the Fire Mage. But you think about the potential upside of playing that Fire Mage. You look at Z-Pi playing the Elemental Shaman. You think about the potential upside of playing that. You go, wait, if the Elemental Shaman actually did work, like with what they're saying or with what they were thinking when they actually locked it in, you're like, okay, it could work. The win condition seems a little bit sketchy, but by all means, try it, because if you find out that it's going to work on the main stage, it seems great. Is there any potential upside to trying Warrior here when you've already seen another team that you can play on a relatively similar caliber to dismantle this team with your main comp? Is it worth ever playing the Warrior?
I think that was honestly just a huge mistake. I think that's just kind of the first game into the series not going, as planned. And I think just the fact that they decided to bring out the Warrior instead of just being like, okay, we're playing Mage Rogue. It's a very versatile composition. It can choose to run in and be aggressive, but it can also choose to pull back. And that's something we haven't seen anyone try to do versus this MLD composition. You could literally run behind the pillar and stand there, and it'll actually be impossible for the Warlock to hit you. But instead, we see a lot of these rogues just kind of tunneling into the Thorns damage, just throwing out the Cloak of Shadows without cooldowns being used. And a team like Cloud9 is going to capitalize on that instantly. And we see that with just the random kills with no crowd control out.
I'm no mathematician, but let's say that this matchup is completely skewed into Rogue Mage as far as what's favored here. Let's say it's a 70-30 matchup. Now you have that 30% chance 3 times in this series. This is so much leeway for Cloud9. It is looking like their series to take down. How will they fare on this small map of Hook Point? Is this going to be the hook, line, and sinker that will propel Cloud9 forward?
I mean, we can't not count Diabolus out of this matchup. I think Rogue Mage Druid into the Mage Lock Druid is a great matchup. And honestly, if they had just played the Grand Arena just a little bit better, it was honestly a little bit of a fluke kill on Nixie anyways. He had the Cloak of Shadows. They weren't out of it. That's why I'm just so surprised to see that they made that adaptation to the Warrior. Unfortunately, throwing away game number 2. They're still not out of it. Like you said, this could potentially be a 70-30 matchup. And if Diabolus, they just play it nice and clean, and Cloud9 maybe makes a few mistakes, this could easily be a reverse sweep.
Yeah, I really just, I don't understand why he keeps playing the Night Elf unless that's his only character he has made on the tournament realm, because it's the only way that Nixie should be able to die is in that stun, is in the stun setup from Cubsy. And as a Night Elf playing Relentless, you have no way out of that stun, so I'm not sure about that, because the game is going to drag on for usually a pretty long time versus Destruction Warlocks. It's a very hard composition to kill quickly. So I think the best thing the best thing you want to do is give yourself the best chance of surviving the longest. And I'm not sure with the Night Elf pick if that's actually what they're doing.
Ooh, Asgarath getting swapped to a big attempt by Cloud9. Are they going to just take him down in the opener? It's Barkskin. It's his Trinket. No Iron Bark committed just yet, but that was a good start for Cloud9. Really just mixing it up, keeping the enemy team guessing on their toes. Chanimal and a kidney shot, and it's like you said, the Night Elf Relentless doesn't give them the flexibility of getting out of a stun, and we saw Waz actually lock in the Gnome. Realizing what happens when you're a Gnome and you've got no Trinket, he immediately swapped to the Human. I talked to him about it. He said it was honestly a throw going Gnome, and I can't help but feel like Nixie in this situation. The Night Elf is really nice because you can, you theoretically can set up some re-stealth saps and cheap shots and Garrote silences, but I just don't think it's worth it. If you just play durable, you play to live, you're probably going to win the match.
Yeah, definitely. Da was pushing in here for Ring of Frost on Cubsy. Lots of damage going into Channel here using that spell reflect there, trying to reflect his counter spell. Locks Asgarath out. Double coil coming out. Big bolts should be flying in here off the Sphere onto Nixie here. Asgarath really playing really aggressive this game. We see Cloud9 attacking Asgrath much more this game. I think the confidence shining through her after winning a nice 2 games in a row pretty easily. Nixie getting bashed up there, taking a lot of pressure here, and honestly, Asgrath is burning through quite a bit of mana. On a map like Hook Point, it's usually very hard to secure drinks because it's so small, and it's very easy for one of the players to just go and stop that from happening. But so far, things are looking pretty good for Cloud9 right now, trading out cooldowns very well, and hasn't been under too much pressure. Nixie taking all damage, Cubsy pushed in, stunning Alec up on that cast, full kidney shot on the channel here, looking to get something going here.
Yeah, and Nixie, he is taking quite a bit of damage. Asgrath throws in his bash, full Ring of Frost on Cubsy. Good setup here by Diabolus. What can they get done? Chanimal uses the gateway. He's behind the pillar. Double Mortal Coil completely shuts it down. Now looking to get aggressive. Asgrath caught into the rake stun. Wealthy Man and Cubsy looking to solo him. This is just good pressure, and Cloud9 kind of hitting multiple targets, really pressuring Asgrath to heal himself up. They've been able to tax his mana quite a bit, forcing out the innervate. Cubsy actually has a little bit of a mana lead. What I'm looking for this game is Diabolus. They need to shut down the drinks of Cubsy. If he can re-stealth, he can drink. I don't know if Diabolus is going to win this game.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the mana is the biggest enemy right now. Cubsy needs to be out of mana for Diabolus to have any sort of chance of winning at this point, because it seems like trying to kill Chanimal through a crowd control chain is going to be very difficult unless it's very later in the game. But Chanimal full fear onto Asgrath, bash onto Nixie. There's no trinket available. Good CS by Alec there onto the Chaos Bolt from Chanimal there, locking out Alec as well. Good job by Chanimal as well, returning fire there. Nixie pressing that feint, full kidney onto Chanimal, trying to get the reverse pressure here. Cubsy potentially just easily topping his teammate here. Great positioning by Cubsy, very far away, no chance of getting crowd controlled, and easily topping up Chanimal and reversing the pressure.
Yeah, but Nixie's still low. We saw what happened in game number 1. Asgrath, he's going to be throwing in the Iron Bark, but look at his mana. Now Nixie's stunned once again. Big damage here from Cloud9. Vanish cheap shot onto Cubsy. Mortal Coil comes flying in to deny Alec. Chanimal just on fire in this game with his interrupts, with his fears, with his Mortal Coils, denying the crowd control from Diabolus and really denying their pressure in this match. Thorns rolling once again, and Nixie has to think twice. He can't be attacking into the Thorns. He is the main target, and the amount of healing Asgrath's had to put out is just massive. And look at Cubsy. If he goes to full mana, this is looking so good for Cloud9.
Yeah, this is why this is... Yeah, Nixie once again just instantly stunned by Cubsy. That's why he's consistently running as far away as possible, getting that result, and just constantly stunning the Rogue. It is so difficult for the Rogue to sit out in the middle of the open because he's getting casted on by not only just a Destruction Warlock, but also a Frost Mage, a Wealthy Man especially. So there's just so much damage constantly. The threat of dying is always very high, and you got to be careful for that. Right now, Asgrath needs to somehow figure out... He has to start thinking about how he needs to get a drink right now, because at this rate, the mana is almost doubled on the side of Cloud9.
Another rake stun, bash onto Alec. Good control here by Cubsy. He's looking like a subtlety rogue in this match. Full blind on Cubsy. Actually trinkets out into a full polymorph. A little bit of a mistake there by Cubsy. Alec sniping it, and now Chanimal, he's falling behind. Double Mortal Coil comes in. He's trying to keep himself alive. Bash onto Cubsy. The crowd control is not ending, but I don't know if they have the damage just yet to take down Chanimal. Destruction Warlocks without dampening, they're a really durable target, and we are just entering dampening now. That's set up a little bit later on in the game. Could have ended the game, so they have to be careful. Cubsy needs to not get caught into those polymorphs. That was nicely done by Alec.
That was a great push by Diabolus there. Nixie committing the Vendetta onto Chanimal there, but good crowd control chain here. Nixie once again stunned up, trying to reverse the pressure here. Cloud9 falling behind slightly there for a second, but easily able to return fire here. Nixie just constantly under pressure. His HP bar is never full. It is so difficult for Asgrath to heal through the damage of Chanimal and Wealthy Man right now. Alec and Wealthy Man both sitting in the middle of the map right now, tunneling crossbolts into Nixie, tunneling crossbolts into Chanimal, trying to keep the pressure rolling. Asgrath still the mana bar. We gotta watch that. His innervate has just come back off cooldown, which is very good. But that's only gonna help him for so long. So he really needs to try to look for a drink here. If he can even remotely stabilize Nixie, but bash onto Nixie from Cubs here, getting aggressive in that cap form, forcing out the Iron Bark there. Great job by them.
Yeah, really good job. Cubsy's mana's looking good. Asgrath falling further and further behind. 6% dampening. Going on right now, both teams have relatively stabilized in the match. Nixie's got the Vendetta rolling up in 40 seconds. That's going to be a big offensive push. Cubsy once again landing a stun. A huge hit on Nixie. He's not topped off. Throws out the feint, but he still has a lot of defensive cooldowns that he can rotate through. Things aren't looking bad for Diabolus. Asgrath pushing in. Cubsy trying to avoid him, and does manage to do so. And now Asgrath might be looking to go for a drink. Cubsy gets caught into a polymorph once again. Nicely done by Alec. Asgrath unable to drink. Wealthy Man has been doing a really good job keeping tabs on him, making sure he's dropping the Frozen Orb, dropping the Blizzard, denying those drink, and now it's Nixie once again on the back foot. Massive damage coming in from Wealthy Man and Chanimal. Nixie, what are you going to be able to do? Iron Bar comes in from Asgrath to keep him nice and healthy, and that should keep him alive. Maybe he can get topped off, but this damage onto Nixie is incredible.
This is very, very scary right now. The Innervate was just used from Asgrath. It is now all up to the mana now to try to keep him alive, and Nixie is just sitting in the open, just taking so much damage. Good cloak on the Basher that would have killed him. Thank goodness he had that. Great cloak by him, and now the cloak and shadow's gone.
Oh my goodness!
That's why you need Trinket.
Yep.
If you're going to play Night Elf, why wouldn't you have Trinket? Or if that is...
That's the series.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, Diabolus, they're eliminated from the tournament. That's their BlizzCon dreams. Cloud9 completely crushing them, really showing how powerful this Mage Lock Druid setup is. I kind of lost faith in it against the Rogue Mage Druid yesterday when I saw them play against Method Black, but obviously they went back to the drawing board. They cleaned up their gameplay. I liked the build coming in from Wealthy Man. They had great consistent pressure, and Cloud9 just showing dominance in that series.
He just reached across the stage, grabbed their mouse, and hit the delete character button. That was absolutely absurd damage that comes in there at the end. You bring up the Trinket, that's definitely going to be a big deal, Pika, but the other thing that's just kind of in the back of your mind throughout the entire time, you look at Cubsy's mana bar, and he's going to have the ability to potentially get drinks. Wealthy Man shutting down Asgrath, but then as well, Chan's just going to be able to put the pet on Asgrath as well and stop those drinks. So it's a very interesting dynamic as far as the mana is going to go, Jelly.
I mean, yeah, Cloud9, as you can see, Cubsy just consistently going for restarts throughout the entire game from the very beginning. I really like that he went for drinks super early, around like 80% of his mana bar left. But the biggest difference is, look at Wealthy Man's positioning compared to Alex the entire game. Wealthy Man was always close to Asgrath, able to stop him or counterspell him or CC him. But Alec is actually just across the map from Cubsy, and Cubsy's just doing whatever he wants.
I think they outpicked themselves. I think that was a problem that this team also had, like, way back in the day. Like, I'm talking, 2 seasons ago now. I'm like trying to remember exactly when it was. I think maybe first season of Legion, something like that. Maybe like sometimes on the online cups we're like, yeah, maybe they're like a little bit overpicking themselves, and very quickly that became something that wasn't a problem anymore. And I think even though it looked like an initial problem, you still have to give them credit, because by the time they got to the lands, they had so much information as to what they wanted to play. But seeing the Warrior in the middle of that series there, then I think that is a big reason why they didn't get this series.
Well, I mean, maybe. They did lose the 2 Rogue Mage games pretty convincingly also.
The third one, though, I will bring up, don't you think there's some potential that they were already tilted off the face of the planet by that one?
Well, I mean, I think when they locked in the Warrior, you could tell there was something wrong, because I don't think that's a characteristic pick of their team. I think on a normal day, they wouldn't expect the Arms Warrior to do really well into that setup. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Cloud9, they played it really, really well. Diabolus, they really couldn't figure it out, and that's why Cloud9's advancing.
I want to hear what Cloud9's feeling like right now. We got Chan on the stage.
Hey, you guys, I'm here with Chan. Now, you just 3-0'd Diabolus, a well-practiced rogue mage. Did you expect that at all?
To be honest, not really. I didn't think we'd actually beat them as MLD. We thought we had a good chance, but I thought they would have been able to do what Method Black did and beat us. But fortunately for us, we were able to stay on it, and well, it showed.
Now, they put Nixie on that Warrior during the second game. What do you think was behind that decision?
Warriors can't be CC'd as much as a rogue, by a lock at least. And I think they sort of got baited by a practice game we had where we had that exact same matchup and they kind of just killed me. But I'm not too sure. I mean, it wasn't too bad of a pick, and he just died in the opener, so it was a bit unlucky by them.
Now, you just beat their Warrior Mage, and now you go on to face Wildcard with Blizzo, considered to be one of the best warriors in the world. Are you feeling ready for that?
Diabolus are a good team, but Wildcard are definitely a league above them, especially Blizzo. I mean, it's Nixie's ult, first of all, but Blizzo is insane at Warrior, best Warrior in the world. So it's going to be tough, but hopefully we can beat them and get a rematch against Method Black.
All right, well, thank you so much, and good luck. Back to you guys at the desk.
Yeah, I think also when we look at that matchup, Cloud9 is one of the most respected teams coming into this tournament by a lot of the squads that we interviewed. They're like, yeah, we're scared of Cloud9. If you go back and reassess things and, ask all of the teams right now, who are you the most scared of? It probably would be Wildcard Gaming, because they just keep doing crazy shenanigans up on the main stage. It keeps you guessing. You can't necessarily practice against that the way that you would want to. And this is just a matchup of 2 incredibly impressive teams that have done it their own way with things they're completely skill capped on.
I mean, either one of these teams could definitely win BlizzCon with the way they're playing, but the fact is Cloud9 didn't take a game off of Method Black, and Wildcard Gaming actually did.
That is a big talking point. I mean, if you're going to look at this bracket right now and you look at all those series that Method Black was in, they haven't been dropping maps. They have not been dropping maps, and they do not want to drop any more when they actually do get to that grand final. This next series is actually going to decide who will be in that grand final. We only have 2 more series here, folks, and then we're going to know all of the teams from NA and EU who will be going to BlizzCon. And Pika, when you look at this next matchup, what on earth do you expect to see?
This one's going to be tough because it seems like wildcard, even though they might have not have won that last series, the fact that they won a game still shows hope and what's going on for them. So I'm actually really excited to see what happens here, because these 2 teams, they both didn't think that they were going to do that well, and here they are in a potential finals situation here. So we'll have to see.
I think that one thing I will say about this matchup as well is if you were going to pick 2 teams to potentially take a series off of Method Black, it would probably be these 2 squads. Now they got to fight it out for that chance to take down a team that's looked absolutely invincible in Method Black. Will Wildcard Gaming or Cloud9 make it to the grand final? Wildcard Gaming has surprised us all in this tournament, and Cloud9 looking for a repeat performance after winning the first LAN of the year. You're not going to want to miss it. It's right after this.